Good evening, hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination. Newsmakers, talking points. It's Monday night ahead of the week. This is your focus for all the news without the noise. Our big focus tonight, Hamas frees the hostages. The hostage deal is finally done. But will we now see a more enduring Israel-Palestine ceasefire? Has Donald Trump just witnessed his finest moment? I have ended 1 year war, says Donald Trump. We'll tell you, I've ended one more war, says Donald Trump. Let's first, though, get cracking with the 9 headlines at 9 tonight. All living Israeli hostages, 20 of them are released. Trump receives a standing ovation in the Israeli parliament, says this is the beginning of a golden era in Gaza. The Prime Minister hails the unwavering efforts by Trump to bring peace to the region. Lalu Prasad and Rabri Devi to face trial in an Irctc scam involving the railways. Special CBI court calls Lalu the fountainhead of the conspiracy, the alleged scam. It's a big setback for the RJD ahead of the Bihar elections. Last-minute hiccups in NDA's seat-sharing deal in Bihar. Joint press conference cancelled. BJP, JDU yet to agree on seat allocation for smaller allies. Congress and RJD also yet to reach an agreement. A big setback for the Tamil Nadu government. Supreme Court transfers Karur stampede probe to the CBI. Also flags remarks by Tamil Nadu cops against TVK. Vijay hails the verdict, says justice will prevail. War of words between the BJP and the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee over the gang rape in Durgapur. India Today accesses complaint copy that says victim went out at 8 p.m. and not at 12:30 a.m. after midnight, as claimed by the Chief Minister. Enforcement Directorate raids 7 Chennai sites linked to cold drink manufacturer and Tamil Nadu drug control officials. At least 22 children lost their lives after consuming the killer cough syrup. Income tax professional in Kerala, in his suicide note, alleges sexual harassment by members of RSS. Congress's Priyanka Gandhi Vadra seeks a thorough investigation. RSS calls it a malicious attempt, wants an independent probe. Pakistan's Punjab police launches a crackdown on Tehreek-e-labaik. Pakistan protesters overnight in Muridke. Violent crashes break out. At least 5 people, including a police officer, dead, scores injured. And Union Minister Suresh Gopi stirs a controversy by expressing his desire to step down from his ministerial post. Says his income has significantly tanked since he took up the role of a minister. But the big story that we are breaking, the story that's been making the headlines across the globe today, because Hamas, the Palestinian organization, has finally freed all the hostages who've been in captivity for more than 2 years. Israel, in turn, has freed nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. Remember, all of this a consequence of what happened on October 7th, when more than 1,000 Israeli civilians were killed by Hamas in a terror attack. Donald Trump, who's driven this entire swap deal, has hailed it as the end of the war in Gaza. Trump, who's now in Egypt, is there for a summit on Gaza's future. Prime Minister Modi, among others, have hailed Donald Trump's efforts. Over 20 world leaders have gathered now at that summit in Egypt at the moment. So all of this virtually suggesting an end to one of the big wars that has taken place in the last few years. More than 66,000 Palestinians reportedly reportedly killed because of Israeli bombings that took place in the aftermath of October 7th. At the center of it were the hostages. Remember, reports suggested there were 48 hostages still in captivity with Hamas. As it turns out, 20 of them are alive, and those 20 were brought today through the Red Cross to safety. What it has led to is an eruption in celebration both in Israel and indeed in West Bank and Gaza, where the war and the guns and the bombs have finally stopped. We're going to look at all sides of this big story, but first, take a look at that top headline.
A tearful but joyous reunion as agony ends for families of 20 Israeli hostages after 2 years. Hamas on Monday released all living hostages as part of a deal with Israel brokered by the US and other Arab nations. It was a day of anxiety for the families as they gathered at Israeli army facilities awaiting word from Gaza. At the hostages square in Tel Aviv, thousands gathered to watch the proceedings on a giant screen, cheering every bit of info that came. A few hostages were allowed to speak to their loved ones on phones before their release. Hamas first transferred the hostages to the Red Cross in Gaza, from where the hostages were taken and handed over to Israeli Defense Forces. Photographs and videos of the freed hostages with their families came soon. Matan Zengukar, whose partner was released during the 2023 ceasefire, finally came home to a warm embrace from his mother. Omri Miran, who was taken from his home, met his father and wife. He spoke to his daughters Roni and Alma, who were eagerly awaiting his return. Meanwhile, buses left Israeli prisons, taking freed Palestinians to Gaza and West Bank. Israel has approved the release of over 1,700 Palestinian prisoners in exchange for the hostages and bodies of those who did not survive. Donald Trump, the main architect of the peace initiative, got a standing ovation in the Knesset, the Israeli parliament.
I have submitted your nomination to be the first non-Israeli recipient of the Israel Prize, Israel's highest award. As to that other prize, just a question of time, you'll get it. But I want you to get the Israel Prize, our highest award, to our greatest friend.
He's not the easiest guy to deal with, but that's what makes him great. We settled 8 wars in 8 months. I'm now including this one, by the way, if that's okay. They may say, well, that was quick. It is a good feeling. Isn't that nice to say? You know, I just said the hostage. First time I said the hostages are back. It feels so good to say it.
The release of the hostages by Hamas is part of the first phase of the 20-point peace plan proposed by Trump. The success of the initiative and future talks will hinge on whether the ceasefire holds. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let me go straight to my first guest. Shosh Bedrosian is spokesperson for the foreign media in the Prime Minister's office in Tel Aviv. Appreciate your joining us, Ms. Bedrosian. I want to understand from you, the President of the United States has described this day as a new dawn, a historic dawn of a new Middle East. Is that how Israel sees it? Are we seeing a new Middle East, or is it very premature given the huge trust deficit that still exists on either side of the divide between the Palestinians and the Israelis?
Well, I'll take you on a micro scale of that. Can you imagine that 20 human beings were trapped in Gaza by a terror organization in underground tunnels. And after 2 years, they get a second chance at life and are now back in Israel, reuniting with their families, feeling these embraces for 738 days. They miss these moments. And this is an incredible moment of a new chapter for Israel, a new chapter going forward, where these families are reunified. And the prime minister has promised since day one he will bring back all of our hostages. Here we are now, all 20 of our living hostages are back. People feel here in Israel they can breathe again. They feel as if they have the ability to go on with their life. And they don't have to stay up late anymore and overthink and worry. And this is how Israel feels on a micro scale. And it's a commitment the prime minister has made since day one, and it's a commitment he is following through on. In addition, we still have 28 bodies inside of the Gaza Strip at this point in time. I'm hearing that the IDF actually just picked up the remains of two possible Israeli captives at this point in time. We do know they still need to be identified. They will be brought to our forensic institute in the Tel Aviv area. And then their family, if it is in fact an Israeli hostage, their family will be notified. But I'll tell you, the mood here is, it feels like it's new energy. There's new life. There's life back in Israel, the life that everyone has missed. And the prime minister has made it his goal to do this, and here's what's following through on it.
You're mentioning the Prime Minister and the fact that you claim that Prime Minister Netanyahu, right from day one, said he would bring the hostages back. 20 of them came back today, the ones who were living. But Donald Trump seems to be taking a lot of the credit for what has happened. Does the Israeli government also recognize that it was Donald Trump who essentially piloted this, and therefore he was the real driver of this entire exchange of the hostages?
Well, President Trump is one of the reasons why we got to the finish line here. Remember, Hamas has consistently been an obstacle in negotiations. And with the help from President Trump and the diplomatic pressure he put on the terror group, we have gotten to the point where Hamas agreed to release all of our hostages. And Prime Minister Netanyahu thanks President Trump day in and day out for all of his support for the state of Israel in the past, in the present, in the future. President Trump has been the greatest friend to the state of Israel, pretty much in the entire White House. That's what Prime Minister Netanyahu consistently says. He is the greatest friend Israel has ever seen in the White House. So it's this incredible relationship and coordination Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump have had together to get us to this point, in addition to all of the military pressure and the decisions Prime Minister Netanyahu has needed to make in order to get to this point in time. Together, the two of them are two incredible forces and leaders who got life back today for Israelis, who got these moments back for Israelis.
Shosh, the reason I asked you whether this is really a historic new dawn in the Middle East, because the question still arises over what happens to Gaza, what happens to the idea of a Palestinian, independent Palestinian state. Those issues seem to be kept on a back burner for a future date. Can you give any kind of guarantee that Israel will work towards ensuring that there is some kind of a agreement on the eventual formation of a two-state solution of two states, Israel and Palestine side by side? Or is that not even being considered or contemplated at the moment? Or indeed what happens in Gaza next?
Well, I don't think that anything is put on the back burner. What we saw today, the release of our hostages, was just the first phase of this plan that's currently still being worked out. Remember, Prime Minister Netanyahu has made it very clear, and he does see a future for this plan, and he has said that from the beginning, that Hamas needs to be demilitarized, it needs to be disarmed. Hamas cannot have a future in Gaza governing the Palestinian people, and Gaza can no longer pose a threat to the state of Israel ever again. There can no longer be terrorism in Gaza. And so, of course, this has been an objective for the prime minister since October 7th, with the top one, of course, being to release all of our hostages, but also making sure there is no threat inside of Gaza as well. And of course, all of these things still need to be officially worked out, but that is, what this 20-point plan says.
No, but let's be very clear. Are we in a situation where we can say with any conviction, Shosh, that we are heading towards some kind of a permanent peace? Or is this a temporary truce? 2,000 Palestinian prisoners have been exchanged. We still don't know whether Hamas has been fully demilitarized. I come back to it. Is there a commitment to a long-term peace in Gaza that would include a two-state solution of an Israeli and Palestinian state coexisting peacefully side by side? Wouldn't that really be the breaking of a new dawn in the Middle East?
Well, of course, the goal is to create peace in the Middle East. That's all Israel has ever wanted. And it's all Israel will ever want, is to create peace in the Middle East. And the first step of that is making sure that the rest of the phased plan and the entire plan goes through. And of course, those details still need to be worked out at this point in time. But this is the prime minister is pushing forward here for what I just named, which is, like I said, making sure Gaza doesn't pose a threat.
No, but
to
I don't
Israel.
see. Sorry to persist, ma'am. But I don't see anywhere in the plan the idea of a Palestinian state being mentioned. 140 countries have recognized it in the past. In recent weeks, many other countries have recognized it. Does Israel still refuse to accept the idea of a Palestinian state, which could be the next step? Or at least the end goal? Is that an end goal or not, is what I'm asking. Because the hostages released was an important element. But do you concede that eventually for a permanent, durable peace, Israel will also have to do much more?
This is a first step to getting peace in the Middle East. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And there are still so many things that need to be worked out. What I can tell you that's happening right now, and I just, will reiterate it in this interview for you, is the fact that we're currently in a moment. We're focused on this moment, which is still needing to get back 28 bodies. I mean, we need to talk about that in order for there to even be conversations about what could even happen next. We're still in the first phase of all of this. Hamas has not provided 28 bodies at this point in time. That is the focus of Israel right now. There are plans for the future of what that could look like, but I'm happy to discuss with you the first phase of all this because that's what's happening right now, and that's the information I can provide you with.
Okay, so just in conclusion, what does this first phase of a hostage exchange, where hostages have come back home, Palestinian prisoners have been exchanged in return, what does this first phase mean for Israel today? That's the big question. What is this first phase, therefore, a sign that we can say with some confidence that we are seeing the end, at least, of the war? Is there a guarantee that there will be no further bombings or any kind of violence perpetrated in Gaza? Because there are those who feared on the Palestinian side that the moment Hamas releases the hostage, they lose the one lever they may have over Israel.
Well, they shouldn't have hostages in the first place. These are innocent people that were taken on October 7th. There shouldn't even be a conversation about leverage because they shouldn't have any innocent people in their possession to begin with. But going back to your comment, there's a ceasefire in Gaza right now, and that's what is currently taking place. But you mentioned, of course, what does this all mean for Israel? And like I said, I don't think the full first phase of this, and it's not completed. We're still waiting for these 28 hostages, bodies of hostages to come back. And we're still in this moment, like I said before, the IDF said that they would likely be collecting remains of 4 hostages at some point today, but only 2 of them have been picked up at this point in time. And we don't know if they're hostages yet. It hasn't even been confirmed. It needs to go through an entire identification process, which could take hours. It could take days. But we're still in this moment. And let's not forget that there are families that still need to bury their loved ones who do not even have
Sure.
the remains of their loved ones in this possession at this point in time.
I take your point. That point is well taken, Shosh Bedrosian. I appreciate you joining us on this and describing what really this moment has meant there at the moment for the Israel government. Thank you so much for joining me here on the news today. Appreciate you taking the time at a time what's been a dramatic day for your country. I want to turn from there to the other side of this war that's taken place over the last 2 years. Isa Amro joins me. She's Director of Working for Peace and Justice. She joins me live. He joins me live from Gaza. Appreciate Isa, you joining me. You might have heard what the Israelis are saying. They want to be in the moment. They believe this is the first phase of an extended plan. There's no commitment as to what happens in the future. For now, it's about hostages released in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. Are you seeing, as Donald Trump is saying, this is a new dawn for the Middle East, or this is just a temporary truce, Isa?
Unfortunately, that Palestinians are still suffering. We still suffer that we don't have enough food in Gaza. We don't have livable houses. We don't feel safe. People are sleeping in the streets. The houses are demolished. There is no enough medical care systems. The hospitals were demolished, the schools, the universities. So there is no real life in Gaza still. The Gaza Strip still under siege and under occupation and under a real, threat of that the ceasefire is not sustainable. In the other hand, in the West Bank, we see settler violence, settlers' terror toward Palestinian people. We see occupation, we see apartheid. Palestinians in the West Bank don't have enough fuel, enough electricity, enough water to drink. And in the same time, Palestinian prisoners and Palestinian hostages, they're still in Israeli jails. We have around 10,000 Palestinian prisoners and hostages in the Israeli jails, and our rights are not fulfilled and not talked about. This is a very important ceasefire. I am very happy that the Israeli hostages, they finally met their families safe. I hope from day one
while
that
you speak. But while you speak about the rights of the people of Gaza, which you say also need to get their space, their dignity, and I know that there's been enormous suffering in Gaza, there will be those from the Israeli side who will say the Palestinian people in Gaza, in West Bengal, in West Bank need to completely distance themselves from Hamas. That you cannot be seen to have not condemned that terrible terror attack of October 7th. That was the starting point which has led us to this moment. Do you concede that there needed to be a stronger response from within the Palestinians to what had happened on October 7th or not?
Something very important. Our problem as Palestinians didn't start in October 7th. Even Hamas is a new party, and we were occupied on 1967 in the West Bank and Gaza. Hamas didn't exist that time. Hamas is a new party, and if we remove Hamas, and Hamas now agreed to be removed from Gaza, will Palestinians have rights? Will Palestinians have their own self-determination? Did your guest, Shosh, talked about two-state solution? She avoided to talk about Israeli commitments to end their occupation, their apartheid, their genocide, their siege on Gaza. It's about the people, the Palestinian population being occupied, Palestinian people being evicted from their homes in the West Bank, in Gaza Strip, and everywhere. It's about that we are controlled by Israeli government without being able to have equal rights. So the Israeli occupation is the main issue, is the main root. And we said it from day one, that without negotiation, without peace agreement, without a real recognition of the Palestinian people, the Palestinian PLO recognized the state of Palestine. But unfortunately, the Israeli government didn't recognize the state of Palestine until now, and they don't see us as equal human beings who deserve dignity, who deserve freedom, who deserve justice, and who deserve self-determination. It's about us being without basic human rights as Palestinians.
Isa, just as the Palestinian just as the Israeli spokesperson of the government was unwilling to give a commitment on a two-state solution, are you willing to condemn Hamas unequivocally? Are you willing to accept that what happened on October 7th was unacceptable? Because unless you bridge the trust deficit, you don't trust them, they don't trust you. Are you willing to condemn and demand that Hamas demilitarize or not?
Something very important. We are not equal with the Israelis. There is no two sides. There is oppressed people who are the Palestinians, and there are oppressors who are the Israeli government and the Israeli leaders. And there are people who are living under occupation without basic rights and without basic political rights and occupiers. It's occupation and occupier. About October 7th, for sure, we disagreed as Palestinians about the violence was used by Hamas during October 7th. And we condemn any targeting of any civilians, Palestinians, Israelis, any civilian. All civilians in the region should feel safe, should be protected, should be equal, should be recognized as nations and as human right, as a human being who deserve equality. Here, we don't have equality. This is something very important. Majority of Palestinians and the PLO from day one condemned all violence happening, even the violence committed from Hamas. It's not about Hamas. It's about us as the Palestinians. The majority of Palestinians, they are under a real eviction, under a real oppression. We are living without basic rights.
So are you?
We have no transportation. We have no enough water. We have no enough electricity. We have
Can I ask you in conclusion, therefore, are you hopeful that we've reached the end of the war? Because in the last few days, there were casualties reported, Palestinian casualties that were reported even in the last few days. Are you now reasonably hopeful after what you've seen today that some element of peace is slowly returning?
Unfortunately, I'm not hopeful. From my experience, the Israeli government violated all peace agreements, from Oslo peace agreement to Hebron redeployment agreement to the first ceasefire agreement to the second ceasefire agreement. And I think they will not at all, respect this agreement because they don't want any commitments to two-state solution. Who's refusing peace is the Israeli government. Who's refusing sustainability and equality and human rights, and who's refusing to implement the international law, and who is refusing to follow the international community and all that countries recognize the state of Palestine as a state is the Israeli government. Unfortunately, the Israeli government until now don't want to make peace, and they don't want at all to give the Palestinians their rights of freedom, justice, equality, and self-determination, and a state.
Okay. I'm going to leave it there, Isa. You've spoken with passion, you've spoken with emotion, and I think one can register that given again what's happened in the last couple of years to the Palestinian people in Gaza. Isa Amro, for joining us there. I appreciate you also giving us a Palestinian perspective. Thank you very much. And away from the politics, let's turn our gaze to the human dimension of what's happened today in Israel and Gaza. Joining me now is Efrat Machikawa. She is the niece of 81-year-old Gadi Moses, the eldest hostage to be released alive. In the previous deal in February, remember, when after 482 days in captivity, her aunt was released. Appreciate your joining us. You've been a very active member, Efrat, of this campaign to release the remaining hostages. Give us a sense of what this day means to you and others who've suffered enormously in the last 2 years.
I would like to thank you first for having me and for discussing this very, very important humanitarian subject. Thank you very much. Today has been a very, very long day. It feels as if it's been 738 days long one long day. We have been fighting since October 7th, 2023, after the atrocity, the brutal kidnap and the violent murder of many, many of our people. This just fight was in order to release and to return every single hostage back home. And when the day arrived, it just seems as half reality and the other half was almost unbelief. There's a lot of sense of relief that the hostages are coming back, but you know, we are on a roller coaster. On one hand, we are full of joy and happiness, but on the other hand, we do have 28 more hostages, deceased hostages that were either kidnapped as dead bodies, who does such a thing, or kidnapped alive and executed in the tunnels. It's a very sad, it's a greatest agony, and that is so hard to actually comprehend. So we move from joy to sadness, from happiness to worry, but that is the situation, and we need to deal with it. Mm-hmm. We cannot change what happened, but we can not be defined by what happened. We should be defined by what we do for future from now on.
That's very well put there, Efrat. I just want to understand on this day, as you said, it's been a traumatic experience for the hostages' families. There was a hostage square in Israel, and it's a roller coaster of emotions. Amidst this roller coaster of emotions, I saw a lot of thank you Trump hoardings being put up. Is Donald Trump being seen as the one who finally achieved the breakthrough? Is there an element of anger against the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, or do you credit both Trump and Netanyahu for the fact that 20 hostages returned, but as you said, many have others have come back as body bags?
You know, so many people were the freedom of so many people was taken away from them. It has been tremendously difficult for the families, for the communities, and surely for the hostages. Today, when we celebrate the return for life and the hope of seeing all the deceased back home, I think what we should concentrate is on the man who actually created this agreement, and it is President Donald Trump. We're grateful for his decisive plan, for being so precise in what he knows he wanted to achieve. And as a cultural diplomacy specialist, I would say his understanding that this kind of a very complicated achievement cannot be done alone. And he joined a coalition. He created a very huge solidarity with moderate Arab countries and other leaders of the world. That was a great move, I think. And this is what brought everything to an actual plan. So today, I really choose to concentrate with lots of gratefulness to Mr. President Donald Trump.
How will you respond to those who will say that in these 2 years, while the hostages have gone through terrible trauma, we've also seen a lot of death in Gaza, more than 66,000 people killed according to one count. It has been therefore a period of bloody death on both sides. More than 1,000 innocent Israelis were killed in that terror attack. When you look at that, what would you tell a Palestinian who's lost her little child, for example, in the bombings?
A mother is a mother and a child is a child. And I don't know any one of my acquaintances who is not suffering, seeing suffering, wherever they are. And what I want to say is, for maybe people far away in Asia who do not understand much about our culture, I will suggest them to have a look at how we mourn, how we practice our ceremonies and burial, with poems being read, with classical music being heard, with very, very sensitive speeches of family, friends, and community. And at the same time, also look at the celebration that we had today. That was also with beautiful music. And we are not when we mourn and not when we celebrate, ever preach for death or revenge. Israelis are people who strive for life. And this is why whenever we see suffering, we hurt as well. The people of Israel were crying for the end of the war and for the return of the hostages in order to heal from the very beginning. The majority of Israelis did not want this war to last for such a long time. So truly, I can say suffering is always painful. And this is why we would like to make sure that from today on, we stay secured in our land, being able to overcome the terrible tragedy we went through, move from the trauma to post-trauma and to the stage of healing, and hope for a better future when light can take over the darkness.
Can I therefore ask you in conclusion, it was in February that your 81-year-old aunt was released. What's the first thing she said to you when you met her, or what is the first thing you said to her? Give our viewers a sense of what it means to be waiting for an 81-year-old woman who's been kept in captivity. When she comes home, what was the first thing you said to each other?
That's a wonderful question. That brings the essence of this unification of family and what it means. It was my uncle, actually, and he is indeed 81. And when my uncle, Gadi Moses, came and I knew I'm going to hug him, I was running. And for a moment, I felt this little girl that is running to her very, very strong uncle. I forgot about the fact that he was a hostage and I'm a big girl by now. And the hug was just as usual. It was a very, very tight and loving hug. And you know, I would like to share with you, I knew that my uncle knows we're really very worried. As he whispered to me, I'm okay, I'm normal. Because imagine being in prison, being torn from your family, from your house, from your surrounding, 6:30 early Saturday morning, and being kept alone for 481 days. We really were worried about his mental state. And he knew that. And instead of comforting him,
Is he well
I found
now?
myself...
Is he? Okay, let's turn from there to the big story that's breaking back home, because a day after the NDA said that they had finalized their seat-sharing arrangement, hiccups seem to have emerged. A press conference that was scheduled to announce the NDA list for Bihar has been postponed, as has the list of the Mahagathbandhan of the opposition. So both the major blocs are struggling to finalize their seats because of pressure from their respective allies. That's the story that we are turning to at the moment, and I'm joined by our reporters. Rohit Singh is joining me from Patna, Rahul Gautam from Delhi. Rohit, to you first. Yesterday, all decks were cleared, we were told, and the BJP and JDU were going to fight 101 seats each. What has suddenly happened that the press conference got postponed? Where is the problem? Is it smaller allies like Upendra Kushwaha who are creating the problem? A quick answer.
Well, yes, yesterday it seemed that all the differences have been ironed and the seat sharing agreement was put across the social media by all the alliance partners. But soon after that, we saw that several alliance partners started to crib, and Jitan Ram Majhi and Upendra Kushwaha especially throughout the day both these leaders were, in fact, we can say they were sulking because they thought that they have got less number of seats, and Chirag Paswan emerged the biggest beneficiary in the seat-sharing alliance. That is why we saw that throughout the day the meetings held between the BJP and the JDU leaders, but there was no consensus on the seats. Seats means
Right.
which seat will be fought by which party. There were some differences that cropped up, because of which the 4 p.m. press conference also got cancelled. And now what we are learning is that in the evening today, several JDU candidates have already got the symbol from Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. BJP has also started distributing symbols. A short while back, several candidates of the Rashtriya Janata Dal have also received their symbol from Lalu Prasad Yadav. So we are seeing that without declaration of candidates, several parties have started distributing symbols to their candidates.
Okay, let's go straight to Delhi, where Rahul Gautam, the Congress and the RJD were supposed to hold direct talks. Rahul Gandhi was supposed to speak to Tejashwi Yadav. Now we are told that they're only having a phone conversation, and the left parties there, the CPI ML, are asking for more seats. What has happened to the RJD Congress alliance now?
Well, absolutely. This was what also that we were learning from our sources, that given the fact that Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge, they both are in Delhi. Tejashwi Yadav is also visiting Delhi. In fact, he met Bihar Congress leaders. Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge both met Bihar leaders. But, we didn't see any meeting happening between Tejashwi Yadav, Rahul Gandhi and Kharge. So clearly it's a bad optics on the part of Mahagathbandhan. But sources are telling us that that all is well as far as RJD and Congress is concerned. Congress is saying that we're going to contest on 60 seats, and in fact there are 2-3 seats which have become a sort of a bone of contention between the two parties, given the fact that both are staking claim over these seats, especially Kehelgaon, Vaishali and Narkatiyaganj. But obviously this comes it's quite a bad optic, given the fact that we all know that how Mahagathbandhan at least have they have declared their numbers, but at least on this part Mahagathbandhan seems to be lagging behind. We are learning from our sources that whatever their issues they are between RJD and smaller parties like VIP and CPI-ML. CPI-ML,
Right, Rahul, I am going to end it there. I'm going to have to end it there because, but we'll keep track of that story, particularly what demands are made by the CPI-ML. But Rahul Gautam, Rohit Singh, appreciate you joining us. I want to turn to one of the key players in Bihar who finds himself in a bit of a pickle. Lalu Prasad has found that an old case has come to haunt him. Today, charges against him were decided to be framed in an old case when he was the railway minister of the country. Those charges could haunt him since he's being described by the court as the fountainhead of the corruption in a particular scam, including his wife, Rabri Devi. Take a look.
Just weeks before Bihar heads to the polls, the Lalu Yadav family faces a big jolt. A Delhi court has framed multiple criminal charges against RJD chief Lalu Prasad Yadav, his wife Rabri Devi and son Tejashwi Yadav in the Irctc scam case. Special Judge Vishal Gogne found enough evidence to push the case to trial. Lalu Yadav is charged with corruption, conspiracy and cheating, while Rabri Devi and Tejashwi face conspiracy and cheating charges. All have pledged not guilty, and the courtroom battle now begins. The CBI alleges that during his stint as railway minister, Lalu used his power to lease 2 IRCTC hotels in Ranchi and Puri to a favoured firm, in return for prime land parcels transferred to companies linked to his family at dirt cheap rates.
Trouble seems to be mounting for the Lalu family and leader of opposition in Bihar, Tejashwi Yadav. According to the FIR filed by CBI, Lalu Prasad, the then railway minister, entered into a criminal conspiracy with the owner of Sujata Hotel, Sarla Gupta. Now, Charges have been framed against Tejashwi, Rabri and Lalu Yadav.
What also caught public attention was Lalu Yadav's entry in the court in a wheelchair. Earlier in the day, he was captured on camera during his morning walk. The BJP has come out swinging, accusing the Lalu family of exploiting the poor and warned that Bihar won't forgive such betrayal.
बिहार के मेरे भाइयों और बहनों, बुजुर्गों, नौजवानों, कभी तेजस्वी यादव के वादे के झांसे में मत आना। नौकरी तो मिलेगी नहीं, तुम्हारी जमीन छिन जाएगी, क्योंकि ये इनका टाइम टेस्टेड मॉडल है। बिहार को आगे बढ़ाने का ढोंग करते हैं आप, ये गलत है। हम इसकी बहुत ही भर्त्सना करते हैं।
The Congress, however, has called the timing of the charges highly suspicious, alleging a BJP-led conspiracy to weaken the opposition just before elections.
ये टाइमिंग तो बहुत जरूरी था भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लिए। ये जमाना कॉन्स्पिरेसी का ही है और साठ-गांठ का है और इस आरोप को स्थापित करने का पूरा प्रयास हो रहा है।
Lalu Yadav is also facing investigation in a land for jobs case, where he is accused of giving railway jobs in return for land. With fresh corruption charges framed, the RJD's election campaign may take a hit. As election heat is rising, one thing is clear: the road to Patna is paved with high stakes and even higher drama. With Satyajit Kumar in Patna, Shreya Chatterjee and Anisha Mathur in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
To another of our top stories today, the Supreme Court has ordered a CBI probe now into the Karur stampede in Tamil Nadu, which claimed 41 lives last month. The Supreme Court has also wrapped the Madras High Court while dictating the interim order. What exactly did the Supreme Court say? Anisha Mathur has more.
Amid allegations of politics and bias into the investigation of the Karur stampede, the Supreme Court also asking pertinent questions of why the Madras High Court, two separate benches, chose to hear this matter simultaneously. An SIT headed by a former Supreme Court judge will be probing the attendant matters, which will include how allegations of alleged misrepresentation of the victims before the Supreme Court have come up. This SIT will also be monitoring the CBI inquiry into the Karur stampede itself. A lot has been said over the last few days in the political arena, but now the Supreme Court asking for reports from the CBI, from the SIT and from the High Court itself. It will be very crucial to see what these investigations reveal about what went down in and after the Karur stampede. In New Delhi, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
Okay, let's turn from there to another of our special reports tonight, where the death of a computer engineer in Kerala has sparked off a political showdown. The techie who died of suicide in a social media post has accused RSS members of abuse. He himself was an RSS worker, and Congress MP Priyanka Gandhi Vadra from Kerala is now demanding a full investigation. What's the story? Take a look.
An IT professional's death by suicide has sparked a political storm in Kerala. In his last social media post, Anandu Aji alleged sexual abuse by multiple members of the RSS, of which he was a volunteer. In his post, the 26-year-old claimed to have battled severe mental health issues following years of alleged abuse within the organization. Aji added that he was not the only victim. Citing Aji's claims, Congress MP Priyanka Gandhi Vadra urged the RSS to allow these allegations to be investigated fully. She called upon the leadership of the RSS to take immediate action.
चिंता की बात यह है कि वो अपने सुसाइड नोट में ये लिख कर गए कि ऐसा तमाम बच्चों के साथ होता है जो उन शाखाओं में जाते हैं, तमाम छोटे लड़कों के साथ होता है। ये एक बेहद गंभीर आरोप है और इस पर आरएसएस चुप नहीं रह सकता है। तो आज आरएसएस की लीडरशिप को खुलकर सामने आकर इन आरोपों का खंडन करना पड़ेगा या माफी मांगनी पड़ेगी।
The BJP claimed there is a conspiracy behind the charges.
I have read the same reports that you have read, and it is clear to me that the Parivar, the RSS, is going to issue a statement today. I understand from the RSS that they are also demanding an investigation, that they believe there is a very, very deep conspiracy to defame the RSS that is behind it, and that they will issue a clear statement on this issue very, very soon.
Sources in RSS claimed that Ajit's social media post was edited multiple times over many days before it was published. The sources claimed that his account may have been accessed by someone else. They called for a detailed forensic investigation. The suicide note has left the Sangh Parivar embarrassed ahead of the assembly elections next year. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's turn now to our Get Real India story, and it comes from a village, Dudhpania, in Munger district of Bihar, where most villagers are rarely living beyond 40. Yes, you heard that right. Most villagers here are living rarely beyond 40 as they are struck by a mysterious disease that slowly cripples the body. Our special report on this very show has compelled the administration, we hope, to take a look and hopefully ensure a better village. Take a look at Get Real India.
This is straight out of a dystopian film, but hauntingly real. In Bihar's Dudhpania village, life rarely stretches beyond 40. In this forgotten corner of Munger district, growing old is a luxury no one can afford. 56-year-old Vinod Besra is one of the oldest living members.
हमारे घर में ही सबसे जो है कि बीमारी से ग्रस्त है, हम भी ग्रस्त हैं, हमारा पत्नी भी ग्रस्त है। उसको कमर झुक गया है, कमर में दर्द होता है, उसका भी इलाज कराते कराते थक गए। हमरा तो यही चाहता है हम किसी तरह सरकार से मदद मिल करके हम इलाज करके हम चल फिर सकते, क्योंकि अपना बच्चा बुजुर्ग का पालन पोषण कर सकते।
मेरा पापा का मतलब पेडिसिस मारा था, मतलब लकवा टाइप का, कमर में दर्द, पूरा सिर तक ही दर्द है। माँ का कमर में दर्द है, मतलब सीना का, वो भी समझता, मतलब कमर झुक गया। मेरा प्रश्न मतलब कमर में दर्द हो, मेरा भी ऐसा ही हो, मतलब पूरा सिर तक पैर हाथ सब दर्द हो रहा है।
Most villagers walk with sticks. A mysterious disease, still unnamed, is crippling the tribal community of just 250 people. In the past year alone, at least 6 villagers aged 30 to 55 have died.
तो मेरा पत्नी जो मर गया, कमर से इधर काम नहीं करता था,
बेड पे रही 5 महीना।
5 महीना
इलाज वगैरह कराए थे?
हाँ, इलाज वगैरह तो कराए।
क्या हुआ?
कोई सुनवाई नहीं हुआ दवाई का।
वो मतलब 3 साल खटिए में चला रहता था, नहीं भूले पड़ता था। हाथ गोड़ पूरा जाम हो गया था।
मम्मी को चल नहीं सकता था, 1 साल बेड में रहे और के बाद वो गुजर गई। यहाँ व्यवस्था उतना नहीं है पानी का, इसलिए।
Until now, no one in power had taken notice. But after India Today reached the village, the administration finally acted. Medical teams are on ground. The Public Health Engineering Department has collected water samples for testing. Central teams from Delhi are also expected to visit the village.
बहुत सारे ऐसे मेल एंड फीमेल्स, इवन कुछ 24 इयर्स के भी हैं, 24 to 30 इयर्स के भी हैं, जिसमें से कि बोन रिलेटेड इशू बहुत ज़्यादा हैं और मांसपेशी भी उनका तकलीफ है, मांसपेशी का भी, ठीक है। डॉक्टर का पैनल बना करके उनका जांच कराया जाए और जो भी निकल के आता है, जो भी डिफेक्ट है वहाँ, या फिर पानी का भी वहाँ जांच कराने के लिए सोच रहे थे। ये सब कराने के बाद ही कुछ फाइनल डायग्नोस दिया जा सकता है कि क्या हो सकता है।
वाटर टेस्टिंग के लिए वाटर के सैंपल्स कलेक्ट कर लिए गए हैं। मेडिकल टीम भी जो आरंभिक स्तर पर जो हमारे स्थानीय PSCs हैं वहाँ से डॉक्टर्स की टीम आके विजिट कर चुकी है। विशेषज्ञ टीम के रूप में हम लोगों ने सिविल सर्जन साहब को अनुरोध किया था, तो वहाँ से मुंगेर की मेडिकल टीम और फिर जो NBCC हैं वहाँ से भी एक टीम दिल्ली से आ रही है। वो टीम कल जो है सो इन सब चीज़ों का बारीकी से जांच कर लेंगी।
Villagers once feared Naxals in these hills. Today, they fear the water in their homes.
गांव का आदमी उसी तरह है, गोड़ दर्द है, ठेवना दर्द है, सबके इसी तरह है। पानी के वजह से हो रहा है कि किस वजह हो रहा है, कि मने कि हम लोग को जांच किया जाए। जांच नहीं किया है, कभी भी जांच नहीं हुआ है।
जांच करना पर पता चलेगा क्या है नहीं है, लेकिन सप्लाई पानी जब से हम लोग पी रहे हैं तब से ही जो अनुमान हम लगाते हैं, सप्लाई पानी जब से हम लोग पी रहे हैं तब से जो है बीमारी देख रहे हैं धीरे धीरे बढ़ रहा है।
And the ticking time bomb inside their bodies. In Dudh Pania, the dream isn't prosperity. It's just survival. With Govind Kumar and Shreya Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
That shocking story which hopefully will shake all of us from our comfort zone. These are Get Real India stories. This was the news today, the news without the noise. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri. Jai Hind, Namaskar.